We'll go ahead and call to order the September 13th, 2021 meeting of the Ellettsville Town Council. Chief, you want to say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is the marshal on yet for prayer? You're on mute, Jimmy.
Can you hear me, Sandy?
Yes.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening, and once again, thank you for so many blessings you bestowed on this little town. We ask you to continue to bless us, lead and guide us in the way that we please thee. Be with these council members tonight, that they might make the decision right for this community and continue our success that we've had in the recent years. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Sandy, roll call, please.
Scott Oldham,
Here.
Pamela Samples, William Ellis, Trevor Sager,
Here.
Dan Swafford,
Here. I will say that both Pam and William had some family emergencies they had to deal with this evening, so our best to both of them and their families. Now we'll call for approval of the minutes for the budget work session August 19th and the regular meeting August 23rd, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Sandy, please.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
The next is action to pay accounts payable vouchers and payroll.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Sandy, please.
Was that Trevor that made the motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
And now we're down to action to pay. I'm sorry. Now we're down to the pre-adoption hearing for the 2022 budget.
Yes, this is the public hearing for the budget. It's also the first introduction of the ordinance. So all of the tax levied budgets for 2022 are $4,993,838. That's only an increase of about $110,000 over last year in the general fund.
Okay. You have any further for that, Sandy?
No, I do not.
Mr. Farmer, do you want to say anything to this? Mike Farmer, do you want to say anything about the budget?
I do not.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? Okay, and quickly, any questions or comments from the public, even though this is pre-adoption and this will be published on the website and available in written copy. See new one, we'll move on. And a resolution tonight, the first resolution is resolution 16-2021, additional appropriation for fire department and playground equipment.
Yes, this is one we've talked about several times. The fire department is appropriating the $75,000 that we received from KHE in 2020. We got it after the budget was passed, and so we've never appropriated that revenue. And the second one is the $140,000 for the playground equipment that the Parks Board and Mike had discussed with you several meetings ago.
Council questions or comments? Are there any public comments or questions concerning this resolution? Seeing none, we're back to the council for action.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 16-2021, additional appropriation for fire department and playground equipment in the specified amounts.
Second.
Motion second, Sandy?
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next is Resolution 17, 2021, a transfer of funds, Police Department and Street Department.
Yes, this is, Jimmy had another bill for his fleet insurance, and so that line was depleted. We're just moving it from other supplies down to fleet insurance in the amount of $984. And then the vehicle maintenance, we're moving in the street department. We're moving $5,044.70 from vehicle maintenance to the equipment line.
Okay. Comments from either department head? Questions or comments from the public?
Year.
And I'm sorry, questions or comments from council? Any actions from council?
I move we approve resolution 17-2021 transfer funds.
Second.
Motion second, Sandy?
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Ordinances on first reading tonight are two. The first is ordinance 2021-17 for appropriations and tax rates for 2022 budget.
And that's basically what we discussed earlier.
Okay.
It's just in the ordinance form.
And to clarify for everyone, those are going to be online here already or shortly?
Well, they're on the gateway for sure. Everything, our complete budget is on the state's gateway. But I will get this ordinance posted on the town's website also.
Perfect. Okay. Anything from either of the council members? As it's ordinance on first reading to come back to us the next meeting. Ordinance 2021-18 is to adopt supplements for the town of Ellettsville Code of Ordinances.
Yes, that's just codifying all of our ordinances for about the last 18 months. It's all complete. The code books have all been updated. It's updated online. And so this is a routine ordinance just to accept that new supplement.
Okay. Questions from either of the council members? Again, this will be posted for those who wish to read it in the public, and we'll come back to us at our next meeting for any action. So if you have questions or comments, then will be the time to address them to us. Now we're going to move down to ordinances on second reading. The first ordinance tonight on second reading is ordinance 2021-15 to amend the zone map at 3888 West State Road 46, Bloomington, Indiana, from C3 to a planned unit development. This is the, by my count, third or fourth time that we have entertained this particular ordinance and or discussed this particular ordinance in public. As most of you know, and I'll get into this before we actually go to council for comments or questions, this is continuing to be an issue where we have attempted multiple times to have the full council present to talk about this. That is unfortunately becoming not possible through no fault of anyone's else. But that being said, it continues to be on the agenda and I believe it deserves a resolution. However, talking with the other two council members, I think we should perhaps have a discussion as to whether we vote on this tonight with the three of us and or if we move to table this, again, waiting for more of a council. We know that we'd be without at least one more council member for the next month. So again, I'm not sure how fair it is to anyone to continue to put it off, but I did at least want to have that discussion. Also for everyone's kind of consumption and just to remind the two council people that no matter how we do this, it's going to take a 3-0 vote or a 3-2 vote or a 4-1 vote. The quorum, the majority of the council must vote yes in order for this ordinance to pass. Darla, am I correct on that?
Yes, you are correct.
So even if we were to move forward this evening, it would have to be at a 3-0 for this to move forward. If that fails, then it would come back again to be voted on the next time that there was a more council until we could reach a resolution, either yes or no. If 3 vote no, it is no though, correct, Darla?
Correct. To either pass or move to deny passage, it has to be a 3-0 vote, 3-1, 3-2, whatever. Correct.
So I wanted to bring that up for everyone's consumption and perhaps have the discussion with myself and the other two council members about what their pleasure is on this evening's date.
Well, I guess I'll go first. Just the fact that it is difficult for all the council members, unfortunately, to be here to vote on this issue. I know the statement was made at the last council meeting that we would wait before we proceeded on this ordinance for all council members to be here. So my only concern is that 2 council members are missing tonight, and we had made the statement to wait for all of them. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I see what Dan's saying. I really do. And I hate this for the developers as well as our folks surrounding the planned unit development, because I know everybody wants answers. But I do truly see what Dan's saying. I mean, the first meeting when Dan was out of town, we keep pushing this so all 5 of us could vote on that, as we're all elected officials. I think we all probably need a voice and a vote on this. I mean, I'd like to vote on it tonight, but I think we have set the precedence the last 2 times that everybody needs to be here to participate.
And I can agree to that in the fact that I think everyone does need to be here. However, that is a wish on our part. And I'm the one who said that after we finished in a tie last time at 2-2, that I did not continue to believe that it was, I wanted the entire council to vote on it. That way we were over and done with it. I'm just coming to the realization, though, that within the bounds of realistic expectations, this is now drawn on for 2 months now, and probably at least another, by my knowledge, at least another 6 weeks or more before the entire council will sit in a council meeting before we can even vote. So that said, I would be a proponent of voting this evening and seeing if we reach a consensus one way or the other. Because again, we have, by my count, 30 some odd people that keep coming to these meetings, and thank you for being involved in these, because we do need to hear both sides. But I'm not sure that it's a good practice to continue to string this on and string this on and string this on. So
Lynn Cohen would like to speak.
I'm clear. Hang on just a minute until council's done, and then we'll entertain some thoughts. So gentlemen, is there a motion? Are we going forward? How do we want to play this?
What do you want to do, Dan?
You know, I understand this is a very difficult situation because I know there's going to be a council member absent at the next meeting. I guess he's going on vacation, so it would definitely have to be a month from today before we brought this issue up again if we wait on this. I just want to be fair to everyone and all the council members. You know, I hate to bring Darlene on this because I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this, but there's no legalities that we made that statement that we have to wait on them. If we would decide to go forward from now, Darla, would there be an issue or no?
No, there won't be an issue.
Okay, I thought that, but I was just wanting to make sure. Trevor?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we need to wait. The more I think about it, I think that if we've waited for Pam and we've waited for you, Dan, I think that all 5 of us need to participate.
Okay. I seen Lynn.
Well, so let me ask you this before we move forward. Is one of you going to present a motion to table before I let the public begin discussing? So I guess my question, is there a motion on the floor to table?
I'll make the motion to table.
I'll second it.
Okay. With a motion on the floor to table, now we're going to entertain some public comment on this motion alone. I'm not going to open this for the entire resolution or ordinance at this point. So on the motion to table alone, we'll introduce public comment. You have a maximum of 2 minutes. And Mr. Coyne, you're first.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We filed this in January. The petitioner needs resolution. This is a very expensive process that a great deal of money has been spent. And the uncertainty is a financial issue and other issues going forward. We would like a resolution of this matter. It has been heard repeatedly over and over and over in front of the Plan Commission and in front of the Town Council. So if at all possible, out of just some modicum of respect to the developer, we would appreciate a decision. I'll let Mr. Ridge speak to that as well. It's his project, but I think we want some resolution. It's apparent that there will likely never be 5 members of this Town Council present, which means this perpetuates. I think Ms. Brown can tell you that after 90 days of that, this is a denial. So
That's correct.
So, Mr. Ridge?
Thank you, Lynn. And just to reiterate what Lynn is saying, we'd really like to, if we can force a vote tonight, there's a lot of others outside of just Lynn and I and Katie, the faces you guys have seen involved. And I'm not sure the master developer, I believe his patience may be gone. I'm not sure we'll have an opportunity to present this again. So just to be completely honest with you, if tonight is tabled again, I'm not sure what that means for our project or this project, and I'm not sure what he'll do with the sites. So I would like to do whatever we can to hold a vote tonight, whether it's yes or no, and find some resolution. Like Lynn said, this is a very expensive process, and we need to know whether to place our money here or elsewhere. Thank you.
And we'll now recognize Brian Thomas. He raised his hand to speak.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. I definitely appreciate Lynn and Tyler's position on the vote, but I also want to remind everyone that this goes on and affects all of us homeowners much longer than it affects the 3 of them, or the 2 of them and the developer. None of those folks live around this property. And, you know, it really is a decision I think the full council, or as close as you can get to the full council, should vote on. So I would ask that you hold off one more meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Nick Briel. You're on mute, Nick.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay, great. Sorry. I just wanted to reiterate what Mr. Thomas said, and that we should wait for a larger portion of the council. And I don't know the rules of how all this operates, and I will defer to all of you guys. But is there a way for everyone to vote, even in absentee, to get all 5 council members to vote, or does it have to be in person?
It has to be either in person or on Zoom. You cannot vote not when the question is called. So you'll either need to be in person if the entire meeting is in person, or in accordance with the electronic meeting policy.
Okay.
So, okay. Richard?
Mr. Coyne, with all due respect, I'm a homeowner here. There's other homeowners that are here talking about it. We have a large investment ourselves. It's my home for 27 years. Would be as long as I live. If something like this moves in, I don't think I can tolerate living here any longer. I'm sure other homeowners feel the same way. So I know you've got a large investment. I feel I've got a large investment in that, and I have nothing to gain out of this complex being completed except more traffic, more possibilities for accidents, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
Okay.
And can I have my separate minutes since I'm a different person, but sharing a Zoom camera?
Yeah, correct.
We'll allow it this time.
Okay. So I would like to echo all the homeowners in this area, and especially Nick brought this up in the last meeting in regards to our community and our sense of community. And I would like us to table it because I would like more of a representation in the board discussing this matter, because like my father said, is that we also have an investment. We have an investment in our community. We have an investment in our own home and the people that we would like to surround us. So like I said, Nick really focused on other kinds of alternatives that we can do besides apartments. And I just thought that that was a really brilliant idea. And I would definitely like us to tease that idea out more and what other kinds of options that we have going forward. Thank you.
Could I please have your name and your father's last name?
My name is Megan, and our last name is Pease, Pease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you know who I am.
Yeah, you used to be on the park board, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm that guy.
Okay.
All right, Linda Summers.
Hi, everyone. I too would like to see this tabled. I'm leaving the country sometime in just on vacation in October, so I certainly hope that I'm able to be here for the next meeting, whenever it is. But I did collect 50 signatures from neighbors, and I heard all of their concerns. And I really think that everyone on the council needs to hear these concerns, and I'd like to share them. So please table this. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Lynette Porter.
All right, there we go. Also, I live at 4400 North Deer Park Drive, which is the actual corner of Ashbrook and Deer Park. So we are at that stop sign that's never used by anyone that comes through here. So we have a great concern that we also would like to have full representation of those on the council. And we very much would like to make sure that that vote is representing all of us and our investments as well, and our great concern about the amount of traffic and how that's going to affect our lives and our investment as well. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Last call. All right, seeing none, we're now back to the council.
Hey, Scott, you've got somebody named Thomas waving his hand.
Hello, hello.
All right, Thomas.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. I would like to echo my neighbor's comments. I would like to table also. I've been here for 27 years. I have a big investment as well. I built my house on Ashbrook Lane in 1995. I like to bring up, I like to have a town council here. I've got some more information to discuss about traffic accidents, the reports on Highway 46 between Ellisville or Deer Park Drive and Centennial Drive, and also the car counters that were discussed last meeting. I'd like to discuss all the vehicles that are running through our neighborhood, speeding and running stop signs right now. So thank you.
Mr. Thomas, what's your last name?
Spoonamore, Spoonamore.
Once again, on behalf of the petitioner, we certainly respect what the neighbors have said in their investment. That our talking about our expense does not demean their investment at all. That's not what that was about. We certainly understand that. All we're saying is a matter of procedural fairness to someone who petitions their government for action on an item. Any neighbor could face this same issue at any moment if they wanted to get zoning permission for something on their land. It takes 9 months of process and still nothing. So it will then go into 10, perhaps 11 months. And all we're asking for is a decision. We understand it could go no, it could be yes. We're just saying, please make a decision. The possibility of saying waiting for the whole council, we all now know, practically understand, is not going to happen. So saying let's wait for the full council is saying no. That's what it means. This will go on for 90 days, and then no action by the council means a no vote. I don't know exactly, Sandy, when would our 90-day clock begin to run on this?
I think if I remember correctly, it was at the Plan Commission in July. Is that right?
I believe so. I think it was discussed at the Plan Commission meeting in July 8th or so. So days from certification.
So the day it was certified, so it would be, let's say it's July 8th. July to August 8th to September 8th is 60. If this goes to November 8th, it's denied automatically by process. And I think what we're hearing here is that is a very reasonable problem. If you're going to insist on 5 members being present, it could go to next year. So from our point of view, what are we waiting for? If you're going to turn us down, turn us down. Or are you going to vote for us, vote for us. It has nothing to do with the objection to the neighbor. It has to do with procedural fairness to someone who has brought a petition in front of the government. Mr. Ridge can make his comments if he wishes, but we're asking you to vote on our project tonight.
Okay. All right. So this is back to the council at this point for action concerning the motion is now on the table. Is there more discussion or are we ready to vote?
Darla, I would like to ask if they would vote and it would be 2 for and 1 against. Would that automatically then put it on the next agenda again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to have 3 people.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, yes.
So question to the council members present is, are we ready to vote or do either of you have comments?
Go ahead, Dan.
I'm good. We can vote.
I'll vote.
Well, right now you've got a motion on the table
We're
to,
talking about voting on the motion, Sandy.
okay.
So call that question. There was a motion and second to table this until the next meeting. So if you'll call the roll for that.
Scott Oldham,
No.
Trevor Sager,
No.
Dan Swafford,
And Darla, I'll ask for clarification. If I vote yes for the table, then it automatically gets tabled, or we go to vote for it tonight?
No, if you vote no, or if you vote yes to table it, it's 2 to 1, so it comes back to the council for action.
Okay,
The
I'll vote yes.
3-person Yeah, the 3-person requirement applies to ordinances, not other motions.
Okay,
So even
then
though,
I'll
it's
vote yes to table.
okay, so the motion failed.
The motion to table failed.
Yes, so it's back to the council for action on the ordinance.
Okay. Now we're going to move forward under the ordinance. And this time we'll seek public comment concerning the ordinance itself, not about the motion to table. That's now closed. So again, we'll open it up for public comment concerning the ordinance on this matter. Again, your limit is 2 minutes and we'll open that floor now.
Scott, before you do that,
Sure.
I'd like to make some comments.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was going to hold that till last, but if you want to go now, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been in contact with the developer on the additional parking spots, and they've agreed to add 20 extra spots that will take a section. And I don't know, Sandy, can you put this on the screen?
I brought it home on a thumb drive, but it's upstairs, so I'll have to run and get it. Mr. Ridge, do you have it?
I do, yes.
You
Okay.
should be able to share from your screen.
Okay. Okay, hopefully you guys see the revised site plan. As Dan mentioned, there are 20 additional parking spaces there. The majority of those came from the community park. You can see, I'll try to zoom in real quick. There we are. So as you can see, we still have the community park. It's just more linear. After scaling that, it's approximately 10,000 square foot. So plenty of room for a dog run, a bocce ball court, and then some seating in a community area we were thinking in the corner. So that we were hoping suffice the parking concern. So that put us at, I believe, 315 parking spaces for 168 units, which we feel is more than sufficient for our unit blend. The majority of our units are studios and 1-bedrooms, with only roughly 25% being 2 bedrooms. So again, 315 parking spaces for 168 units.
Okay, and then we also thrown around a little bit because I really hate taking the community park away completely. And I'm glad you put in a partial spot of it. But we had, or I had mentioned taking the 5, let's see, what is that, eastern lots there at the end, right next to the community park, kind of taking those back out and doubling the size of the community park.
Like it. Haven't decided.
I believe this area right here, correct, Dan?
Yes, yes. So then
that would-
you could add back the shelter houses and the grill, correct?
Correct. You would have shelters and grills there. And regardless, we were going to do the grills and the shelter, it would just move, it would have moved by the clubhouse and you would have to walk across the street to get to it. But if we omit these 5 spaces, we would then be at 310 spaces. And then we could get that community park all centralized with the grills and with the covered shelter.
Okay, is there someone's speaker unmuted or what's going on here?
There we go.
Okay.
So as I was saying, Dan, I'm sorry. So if we omit those 5 spots in blue there or the purplish color, yes, we would move the shelter and the grills back to that same area.
Okay, and so that would still give us 15 more spots for the units. And we had also spoke to you about, you had offered to add parking permits to the tenants that come, that that you would limit the car parking permits, correct? I'm sorry, I'm trying to read too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll read. Yeah, we will add vehicle parking restrictions to all tenant leases. We would have that. I don't know if that would be a motion of approval, but we would submit that to you guys to review. We would submit our full tenant lease with that verbiage in there, and we would only allow a certain amount of tenants per unit by unit type. So, for instance, 3 related adults or unrelated adults in a 2-bedroom. So just to limit parking, limit vehicles, stuff of that nature. So we're, open to your suggestions, but could also send you over some verbiage in our lease, our master lease that each tenant signs that we could, show you guys. And that way, it's in the lease agreement for all tenants. So parking passes, limited on one car per tenant, and then limiting tenants per unit type would really help make sure that this parking was sufficient for this site.
Okay, and I really like that idea. And Darla, because this is a PUD, we can't ask for these stipulations, correct?
Yes, the town council can impose reasonable conditions on approval. And so far, I haven't heard anything that I think is a major change to the proposed plan that would require this to go back to the plan commission.
Okay.
But just so clear, you're adding essentially 15 spaces, parking spaces, correct? You're adding 20, but then taking out 5. Is that correct? Did I hear that right? Okay, and then you're also requiring parking permits for tenants, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And there would only be one parking pass given to each tenant, so 1 vehicle per occupant.
Okay.
And I think that would probably help down on the traffic issue too, not tremendously, but every little bit helps. So I'm good with those changes. I mean, I think it's great that you're working with us. So that's really all I have to say right now.
Trevor, did you have comments before we move forward?
No, just as far as back to how we got to this point, I didn't realize that our clock started ticking on July 8th. So I guess it needs to be voted on tonight.
Okay. All right, we'll move now to public comment. And earlier I misspoke when I said 2 minutes. That was what we were doing with the motion to table. Under an ordinance decision such as this, we typically give the public 3 minutes, which is what we'll go with this evening. Amber will be keeping time, and at the 3-minute mark, you will go on mute automatically. So at this point, we'll begin. And I believe, Amber, you had one already that wanted to speak, and I apologize, I forget who that was. I believe it may be
Summers.
Linda Summers. So you are recognized for your comments.
I am so frustrated that you are talking about the number of parking spaces, and we are concerned about people's lives. This is just so irritating. I don't want to take up my whole 3 minutes on talking about this, so I'm going to go ahead with what I was going to say. I collected 50 signatures from my neighbors in Spring Valley a few weeks ago. No one I spoke with had concerns about single-family or garden homes in Ellis Ridge, but all of them requested that you vote no on the proposed apartments. This is all we ask. We're not talking about countertops or whatever you guys are interested in. Town council members are elected to represent the people. And I don't see that. And we have been loud and clear about our concerns. Show us that you are listening. Communities thrive on the basis of caring for each other, and that's what we are doing as neighbors. Everyone is concerned about the dangers of more traffic on Ashbrook, Deer Park, and State Road 46. Neighbors told me about car accidents or near car accidents while pulling out onto 46 from Deer Park, or even getting in and out their driveways. According to your numbers, apartments would double the traffic in our neighborhood to over 2,000 vehicles per day. That prospect is scary. What if you found out that the traffic in front of your house was going to double? Think about how that would affect your safety of your life and your families. Getting in and out of your driveway, the children playing, walking, pets, the noise, and possible accidents and injuries, or even worse, a death. I spoke to a 93-year-old woman who still drives. She told me she arranges her appointments around the traffic and many times turns on 46, then turns around in McDonald's to head to Bloomington because it's easier. And who cares about a dog park or where the grill's going to be? Other concerns? Lack of sidewalks, water runoff. Will it be running off down to 46 or Ashbrook? Sewage volume and narrow streets. At the last meeting, it was suggested that traffic from Ellis Ridge, might take a longer route to get to State 46. This is it. These are the apartments. This is the long route going up to Kemp, Ashbrook, Ridgemore, Shadowwood, Ribbon, Hall, and down Centennial. Or you can take this route going from your apartment up to Kemp to Ashbrook and then down Deer Park and then to 46 to Bloomington. That's what people are going to do. They're going to take the shorter route. They're not going to take the longer route. Thank you.
Okay. Lynette Porter, I believe you're next.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for your time. I'd like to go ahead and echo what Linda says because again, we are literally on the corner of Ashbrook and Deer Park, and I'd like everyone to listen to someone who is literally going to see the absolute bulk of the traffic and of the danger, because our driveway is on that corner just as you turn from Deer Park to Ashbrook. And those of you who are looking at your screens, I hope you're watching a map. That means that every time my daughters, myself, my husband, anyone visiting my home has to run the risk of being rear-ended, which has happened. The other issue is that hill on Deer Park that goes out to 46 is slick. Now, in the past, we have requested that it be treated more often. Most of the time, that request has been heeded. However, when it's not, or when there's more precipitation, something happens. I have slid into 46. My daughters have slid into 46. And then what happens is people are trying to get up that hill to then wait on top of that hill or potentially try to stop and not go down that hill. So there's already the max limit for people trying to get out onto 46 off of Deer Park is there. We are at that max. Also, not to mention again, and not to beat a dead horse here, but this stop sign is never utilized. I've seen people nearly go straight into the house that faces Deer Park across from us. And people, when I tell them where I live, they say, oh, you're the cut through house. That's how we cut through to get home. And I say, yes, we're the cut through house. We live right there in that long brick ranch. And so everyone will use this route. They will use this route. If I were going to be living there, I would use this route. And that is doubling the traffic. It's doubling the danger. We've had a family recently move, that's catty corner from us. We've had another family move in from Kansas. They have 5 children. And after they were here 5 days, they put all of their bikes away and told them they couldn't ride anymore because the children were going up and realizing that the traffic was coming and making such a deep curve at our stop sign that's not used because people nearly miss it. And one last thing, people miss that turn often. They come down to the turnaround, which is, I believe, Castlewood Court towards the dead end, realize, and this includes delivery drivers and everything, realize that they have missed that turn. They double back really fast and then make that turn even faster. And so that's going to increase.
Or I'm sorry, you're past your 3 minutes, so you're on mute now. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, we'll go first to Nick and then we'll come to Richard after that.
Yes, the people of Ellettsville and you as our elected and appointed representatives are being asked to make a decision about that is in the best interest of our town. Do we want an urban community that caters to transient renters and seeks higher density housing, or do we want to preserve our small town feel and close-knit neighborhoods of single family home owners? The people who live in Ellettsville, and Ellettsville currently is a community of single family homeowners. The residents who live here moved here because of that, not because they wanted to change it. We do not want higher density housing. We do not want transient renters, and the crime and the blight of such projects, such as this apartment complex, will bring. Eventually, this apartment complex will get old and the renter clientele will deteriorate. And that promise and the promises that the developer makes now that these are going to be luxury apartments, they will go away. And we will be stuck with this forever. It is going to be a community problem forever. As police officers in Bloomington, you probably have gone a lot of your calls to areas that were once nice and now not so nice because they are in off tucked away areas, infill properties such as this one, and they will they get filled with less desirable clientele. The council, as elected officials, should be listening to the constituents and looking at the published community plans and acting in the best interest of the community. It is abundantly clear that the community is against the rezoning of this property as a PUD. A vote in favor of the PUD is a vote against the will of the people. Second, the Ellettsville Community Plan should be providing a framework for decisions such as this, and nowhere in the Ellettsville Community Plan does it talk about the need for multifamily housing. So we need to be looking at the documents that our own government has made and start following them. And then finally, we need to look at who are these apartments in the best interest of the community. We're going to hear about, and we've already heard about lots of reasons why they are not, but just look at the flow of the money. Where is the money going? People are going to be throwing $1,000 away a month at least, and that money is not going to stay in this community. It's going to go to developers who live out of the city, out of the county, and they're just going to the already privileged and not to the people who need it here.
Okay. Next is Richard.
Hi, Megan's actually going to speak. I definitely echo everyone that has spoken in our neighborhood. But honestly, I want to go down this route of idealism and what we envision. And honestly, we live here and you all live in our community and our town. And so what I want to ask is, how do you envision your way of life? How do you envision your neighborhood? And what do you want your neighborhood to look like? And what kind of neighborhood do you want to live in? Well, all of us here are talking about it. All of us here have described what kind of neighborhood we want to live in. We've addressed safety. We've addressed the transitional nature of the individuals that apartments attract. We have talked about high density. We have talked about so many things. And one thing that we're forgetting as well is people are moving into from Bloomington to here because we want to know our neighbors. We want to have a neighborhood. We want family living. Now, could you imagine, think about your neighborhoods and where you live and your community and why you live in Ellettsville. Do you see a major apartment complex moving next door to you? We never envisioned that when we moved to this neighborhood. And now you're putting us into a position where you are challenging our way of life. You're challenging our quality of life. And that's not fair. We are not feeling heard. You're not representing us. And it keeps going and going and going. What do we have to do? Why does our life have to change? Can I move an apartment complex next to you? Can I have that effect? Nick just sat here and spoke about, and I'm didn't even consider this as well, about they are let go over time. We're stuck with this forever. Could you imagine if you had to stick with this forever? We do. And that's why we're talking about it. So all that traffic, all that safety, all the high density, all of that is about way of life and how it's going to affect us and our future and our children. Because people are moving here because we want to know our neighbors. Are we going to know our neighbors? No, not in apartment complexes. So I would like you to all consider where you want to live and would you want this to move next to you? Thank you.
Thomas, you're next.
Thank you. I'd just like to speak to the accidents that we've all talked about, but I have some data from the Ellisville Police Department, and ARIES was an acronym for Automated Reporting Information Exchange System. This is what the police departments use to log and report accidents. It demonstrates that the section between 46 and Deer Park and Centennial Park is one of the most, if not the most dangerous stretch of road in Ellisville today. In 2019 and 2020, Ellisville police records indicated 25 incidents in this stretch. Police records estimate that over $200,000 of damage has occurred. These records obviously only capture the damage that was reported and does not appropriately monetize personal injury. Nick has personally witnessed accidents on 46 that has not been reported. I myself was in an accident trying to get across Fourth Park Drive into my addition on Deer Park Drive. There was injury. Lucky there wasn't death because there very well could have been. Another person in this neighborhood that's on your planning commission lives in here, tried to get out. He lives in Springwood Court. He had shared this in a prior meeting. He was also in an accident at this intersection. He was injured. So please, our neighborhood can't handle the traffic of that 168 apartments will create. Currently, there are no guarantees that these apartments will be built, but if you choose to rezone it to PUD, the apartments will be built against the objection of the community. Thank you.
The next is BLM. If you'll identify yourself, please, for the record.
Yeah, hi, it's Brandon Meyer. I live on Ashbrook Lane, and I don't really have anything new to add. I just echo the concerns of my neighbors in regards to the traffic issues that would come with this. So I ask you to vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Brian Thomas.
All right, thanks for the time. I've attended all the meetings on this property, even back when it was rezoned by the previous owners to the C3. I'm really concerned about zoning, and there's really not enough attention is being paid to the properties that surround the land in question. While I understand the front lots are commercial, and that makes sense up by the highway, the rest of the properties are surrounded by single-family homes, and we already see Mr. Blackwell putting in single-family in the back of the additions, and that makes perfect sense to me. At each of these meetings, I see the discussion's been around apartments or no apartments. And I think there's more to it than that. One point is that the Ridge Group even said earlier on, and I think it was their community meeting with us, that apartments over commercial wouldn't work for them. That just shows that it's not a great place for businesses to go into or apartments. I have to think that's because of traffic, and based on the comments about Hoosier Hills choosing their site last time, I think that really shows that this is not a good place to get in and out of already. And this is going to make it worse. I would ask the council to vote no on the measure. I hope all is well with Miss Samples and Mr. Ellis's family, but I am disappointed that the topic wasn't pushed out a little bit further for a full vote. As far as the additional parking, I appreciate that Dan's trying to work with the developer and see what we can do, but really more parking means more traffic. And that's really all it comes down to. The developer's going to say or do whatever he wants to try to get things pushed through. But, I had my grandfather always say, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Tyler Ridge is next.
Yes, just wanted to kind of reiterate the fact, and I believe we've talked about it previously, that this is a C3 zoning and apartments are permitted over retail. So if we don't do just the apartments themselves, someone could very well come in here and do a larger project with 3.5 times the amount of traffic per A&F Engineering in a letter we've shared previously. So just wanted to reiterate the PUD was not to bypass the C3 zoning. It was actually a downgraded zoning. So just wanted to reiterate that point.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Amber, do you have anyone else? Okay.
That last comment I heard sounded a little threatening to me. I don't know how the rest of you people interpreted it, but that's the way it sounded to me. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Raise your hand, please. Don't just start speaking. Amber, do you have anyone?
I don't see anyone else.
Okay. We'll move back to the council for final comments.
Well, I guess I would like to make a couple comments on what was said tonight. I do feel for you people. This exact situation happened to me. I bought a house down here on Capitol Avenue, and it wasn't 6 months later, they built apartments all around it. Our traffic probably 10 times the amount and not double. There were only 5 houses here. And so the traffic was increased at least tenfold. It is very difficult to get out on the highway because I have to do it every day, at least 3 times a day. I do know that I'm talking to other builders, and because this is C3, this might be the better solution than what could be coming up. Now, I'm not saying it would or wouldn't, but they could come in there with apartments during the whole thing because it's zone C3. So if they go commercial underneath, they could go more apartments above, and so on and so forth. And, I just want to reiterate the fact I do appreciate you guys. I guess, your house is there. You bought your house next to a dead end area. Something is going to go into that field there, and it's a large field. So, you guys could have been lucky for 40 years. Nothing's been there because it was in a family estate. And after the family member passed, it was sold and zoned commercial. So I'm struggling with the fact on which way to go because of the fact that something is definitely going to go in there. And if we have a little bit of control on what goes in there, this may be the better of the worst. I'm just saying that. So saying that, I do understand everything. And I really, really want the entire council here. I do understand the frustration of the contractor that they want an answer. They've been going through this for, a couple months, and to put it off would be fair. But the fact that I know for a fact that one of the council members will be gone next council meeting too. So saying that, I guess that's all I have to say for now.
Other comments?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's comment tonight. And like Dan said, I wish everybody was here, but at the same time, people expect an answer, and I don't feel good letting this expire without an answer. So I'm prepared to vote on this tonight.
Okay. Is that it, Trevor? I'm sorry. And I guess my way of looking at this is I quite frankly very much understand what everyone is having the discussion about and the concerns on both sides of the issue. I think the resolution this evening, if it comes, and it very well may not come, because if this is not a 3-0 vote, then it will go back to the next council. With that being said, the decision for me is not about traffic. It's not about a whole lot of other things that have been brought up, which are incredibly valid points. And the reason it's not about that is because the unfortunate circumstance of this is zone C3 to begin with. So the question here for me becomes, do we allow the planned unit development, which is the downgrade, or do we take our chances at the C3, which brings in commercial? Now, if we bring in commercial, it's going to even more so accelerate that traffic and that traffic pattern where you're going to have people coming and going all the time. By the very fact that we're going to have commercial in the front already, if we continue to add commercial, that traffic will continue to mount and mount. And again, understanding your problem and hearing your problem and hearing your concerns, that makes me even more concerned that if this goes as a C3 where there's commercial downstairs and then, quite frankly, very little control by this council as to what an apartment complex looks and or is shaped like or is built like, then that process becomes much, much worse than what has been presented for us today. So the question for me is not to build or not to build. The question for me is go unrestricted under C3 or restricted under the PUD. So with that said, is there a motion from the council?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-15 to amend the zone maps at 3888 West State Road 46, Bloomington, Indiana, from C3 to a planned unit development.
On the condition that the developer add 15 additional parking spaces and require residents to have parking passes. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There's a motion. Is there a second? I will second it just for the vote to occur this evening. Sandy, when you're ready.
Scott Oldham,
On the motion to approve the PUD, my vote is yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Oh, this is a very tough decision here. Darla, if I abstain from a vote, does that recluse me from voting the next time, or?
I don't think so, but I guess why do you feel like you need to abstain?
Well, for the entire council to be here is the only reason I would abstain. I don't know if that's worth abstaining to or not.
Well, typically you abstain because you think you have a financial interest in the project that prohibits you from being fair or something along those lines.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I vote yes.
motion carries.
Okay. All right, so this motion is now passed. We will move on to the next ordinance this evening on second reading, which is ordinance 2021-16 to amend ordinance 2020-26, fixing the salaries for budget year 2021 fireman building inspector.
Well, since we passed the salary ordinance at the end of last year, the building inspector position has gone full-time and the wages have changed. So I need to reflect that in the salary ordinance. And also the water superintendent had a change in the job itself. So I needed to reduce the minimum amount on it a little bit. And the laborer too needed an adjustment in the hourly wages. So this, and that labor too is for both it's the Department of Public Works for both the street department and the utility department laborer 2 is not listed under the street department's salary ordinance.
Okay, so you lost me.
Sorry.
Where are we at here with it, with laborer 2?
Well,
What are we changing?
we are adding it to the street departments in the salary ordinance, and we are adjusting the amount to make it fit the wages that we're currently paying for the laborer 2 position.
Okay. All right, I think I understand now. Questions from the council concerning this ordinance? Comments or questions from the public concerning this ordinance? Back to the council for action.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-16 to amend ordinance 2020-26, fixing the salaries for budget year 2021, building and fireman inspector.
I'll second it.
Motion second. Sandy, please.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
There is no old business. There is no flood report listed. Mike, did you have anything under that?
I would, Christopher Burke, Andrew Miller, who works for Christopher Burke, and who's working on the flood plan. They are now 60 an estimate of what he thinks it'll take to complete the project. I believe the figure was $709,000. That would be if we have it bid out and it goes to a public bid and an outside entity does all the work. Not sure that's going to happen. When I talked to our local engineer, he had a price of approximately $300,000. So I'm thinking somewhere in between there is what you're really going to find. I know Christopher or Andrew Miller did not want to be, he wanted to be conservative, so I'm sure he'd give us a high price. So anyway, as well as that, he also gave us an estimate to put together a plan for what we would call phase 2. In his original modeling, he had phases that went all over the place, but phase 2 for us would be work at the McNeely Bridge. We all think that's a place where the water backs up, and that would be after Vine Street would be completed. We would start a project like that. The reason that we are interested in that and want to perhaps even bring it to the board in the near future is we also, I was going to talk about it later, but we also had a meeting with Baker Tilly, our accountants, and they walked us through some of the things we can and can't do with the ARP money from the feds. And we think that stormwater and flood mitigation should be top of our list. That's what we'll be bringing before the board. And with that said, that obviously we would look at Vine Street first, and then and be ready to perhaps move right to the second phase of flood mitigation to enhance what we did with the Vine Street project. So we think the money's there, maybe to complete both projects. And Baker Tilly also will be looking into matching grants where we can maximize our money by putting our ARP money up with other, where if you have match, then they'll match it and then you can double your money. So anyway, we're working on that. You'll get a report next meeting, I believe. That'll be a little more detailed. And I'll definitely be sending everyone some emails about this. I just got the information today, so you haven't even seen it yet. So anyway, there's movement, and we're pretty excited about utilizing the ARP money, American Rescue Plan money, and put it to good use where the entire town will benefit from it, and hopefully maybe revitalize downtown and spur economic development in the downtown area. That's about it.
All right, thank you. Questions from council? Or from the public for Mr. Farmer on this? All right, moving on. Envision Ellettsville update, Mr. Rary.
Yes, on the 15th, this Wednesday, we will have our first public visioning workshop at the town hall, and it will be held between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And I would like to invite everyone to come, the council members. This is open to the public, any private individual, business, anybody can come, and we welcome you to be there. And our Taylor group that's handling this for us will be there. And this is what they call a visioning charrette. So it'll be very interesting. 2 hours from 6 to 8, town hall. I'd like to invite everybody to be there. Thank you.
That's this next Wednesday, so 2 days from now?
2 days from now on the 15th.
Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you. Council questions for Mr. Rary? Okay, we'll move along then. Under new business this evening, the first is a request to hire 2 full-time labor and 1 for the Department of Public Works, the Utilities Division.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Michael Farmer, and I am one of the 2 utility directors in town. We need a couple of labor 1 positions filled. What has happened, I think you guys all got the emails and the text, is that we've 2 top positions in the utilities. Sadly, we had 1 employee take another job, and another one of our supervisors is about to retire. And so on the good side, it allowed for some internal promotions, and we've made choices for those. And so we are left without a couple of our labor positions filled. With all the work that we have planned for the next 5 to 10 years and what we have planned for the next 5 to 10 days, we need to be full staff all the time. So it's really important that we fill these as soon as possible. And I would recommend a couple of applicants for the positions be hired tonight. These are people we recruited. One gentleman, his name is Tim Vaught. He's actually worked for the utilities before. He's got 20 years experience in water, sewer, storm, and lift states and maintenance. He has a Class A CDL, which will really come in handy for the Department of Public Works. And I would recommend that we hire him for a labor 1 position and start him on the 20th. And his salary, I'd like to go to full salary, considering this is a lateral movement with experience, and pay him $23.64. Can we do both of them at the same time, or do you want to do one at a time?
Do them both at the same time. If we need to split them in a vote, we can.
Okay. The other position would be filled by Robert Hone. He lives near Ellettsville, and he has a Class B CDL. He's operated heavy equipment since 2000, and he was just promoted to lineman at the town next door to utility. And we think his experience and background will lend itself to kind of help mitigate some of the talent loss we had on the top end. So again, I would recommend that we start him at full pay at $23.64 an hour. And I really strongly recommend we hire these people. They're going to help us a lot. And I need the positions filled.
All right, thank you. Questions from council? Motion.
I'm sorry, Mike, you cut out there at the end on the last one. What are you paying?
Can you hear me, Scott?
I can, but it breaks up occasionally.
Scott? $23.64 per hour.
Okay, thanks.
Further questions from council? Is there a motion from council concerning either of these hires?
I'll make a motion to hire 2 full-time labor, 1 for the Department of Public Works Utility Division, Tim Vaught and Robert Ho. Did I get those right, Mike?
Yeah, Robert Hone, H-O-E-N-E.
Those names.
Second.
And just to clarify, this is for the rates as specified by Mr. Farmer, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Sandy, you have a motion and a second. We're ready.
Todd Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yeah.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
The next is the 2022 Animal Control Interlocal Agreement.
Thank you.
Yes, we got this by email a week or so ago. Darla's reviewed the contract. She may have a comment. They sent our statistics over, and they use from a previous year. I think it was 2020 maybe, or 2019, but we only had 66 animals picked up. The cost per animal is about $252. So the amount on the contract, is a little bit more than I was told when I was doing my budgets, but it's just a couple of $100. So it's $18,612.
Okay, and that's up from the 2019 budget or 2020 budget?
It's actually down a little bit.
All right. Questions from council? Motions from council?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022 Animal Control Interlocal Agreement.
Second.
Motion second. Sandy?
Todd Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
The next is bond release for Centennial Park Phase 4.
Hi, this is Denise in planning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. About a year ago, TDML LLC petitioned the Plan Commission for preliminary and final plat for approval of Lot 79 in Centennial Park. Then TDML dedicated a 50-foot right-of-way to the town. They obtained a cash bond for $16,525 to put in ADA ramps, sidewalks, a curb, retaining wall, and the asphalt. Kip and I went out and inspected this morning, and all of that has been completed. So we are requesting permission to release their cash bond.
Okay, so everything on the check sheet's been completed?
Yes, it has. They did a really good job.
Questions from
And Kip,
council?
sorry, Kip did a compaction test before they put the blacktop down, and he said it was perfect or fine.
Questions from council? Motions from council?
I move we release the bond for the Centennial Park Phase 4.
Second.
Motion second. Sandy?
Todd Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager. Trevor, I'm
Yes.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
The next is agreement between the town of Ellettsville and Eastern Richland Sewer Corporation.
what you have before you is an agreement that if the council approves it, will put to rest the litigation that's been pending between Eastern Richland Sewer Corporation and the town since, I believe, 2016, which was initiated by Eastern because Eastern objected to the town's new sewer rate ordinance. And then when Eastern filed suit, the town filed a counterclaim. So Mike Carmen, Joe Peden, and Carson Hayes from Eastern met with Jeff Farmer, Mike Farmer, Rick Kopic, Dan Swafford, and me at my office on September 2nd. And we took the agreement, the draft that I think had been discussed by some town council members and Eastern board members, and we toggled with it a little bit. And I think we have an agreement that, as they say, after any mediation, if both sides walk out unhappy, it was successful. So it's not perfect, but I think it's a good agreement. And for me, and it takes a lot for me to say this, I think really and truly, knock on wood, the town and Eastern were able to work out some misconceptions and work out some grievances that each had with each other with regard to the sewer plant. And I know Jeff Farmer took some Eastern board members on a tour, and Mike Carmen told me privately in a phone call that he did a really good job, and that the Eastern board members, I think, learned a lot from that. And I also think during our discussion on September 2nd, again, we were able to talk to each other for probably the first time. But in any event, there are some changes in this agreement from what you saw earlier. Earlier, the Eastern agreed to pay the town, I think it was $540,000 for its counterclaim. Eastern is now going to pay $660,000 within 2 weeks of final approval of this agreement. In the earlier agreement, there were 3 accounts, which I think was confusing for everybody because we had a capital account that we were going to establish. The money Eastern was going to pay the town was going to go into a separate account. And then we had the equipment replacement account. So everybody agreed to do away with all 3 accounts. And so we're just going to have one account now called the capital reserve account, in addition to the operation and maintenance. So operation and maintenance is still separate from the capital reserve. Into the capital reserve account will go that $660,000 plus the $10,000 monthly payments that Eastern and the town will make, all of which hopefully is either going to be saved for a new plant or will go to capital expenditures. And to cut down on arguments that we may have as to what constitutes a capital expenditure, the items that the capital account can be used for are under Section 4. And then Section 4 also makes reference to an Exhibit A. And at the bottom of Exhibit A, we have treatment plant processing equipment with a cost of over $5,000. So there's our baseline, I guess, for what counts as a capital expenditure. If it's over $5,000, the town can use the money in the capital reserve account to purchase that. So anyway, I think that's the major changes. But in any event, like I said, it's not perfect, but I honestly think it's a pretty good agreement, and I hope the council will approve it.
Okay. Questions from council?
I'd just like to reiterate the fact that I think this is a great time. I know we've had a long history with Eastern Richland, and I think the meeting went very well. And I think both sides are very happy with what they got. And I would just urge the council to approve this tonight too. I think this has been a long way coming. And for one, I'm glad to put it to bed for a while.
Any other comments? Is there a motion from the council?
I move we accept the agreement between the town of Ellettsville and Eastern Richland Sewer Corporation.
Second.
Motion second. Sandy, please.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis. I'm sorry, Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next is agreement between the town of Ellettsville and Larry Tippin for accounting consultation services, fixed asset depreciation. Sandy, if you'll explain that, please.
Well, fixed asset depreciation has been around for many years, but it was not a requirement for the civil side as much as it was for utilities. And so it is now a requirement by the State Board of Accounts. We recently had a conference and they gave a presentation on the need to depreciate assets. Amber has tried her best to reconcile our old records. She's got multiple figures that do not match and she cannot find the connection. Larry Tippin is a retired person from the State Board of Accounts. He understands the process. He is going to help us put a price on our street mileage, our water and sewer lines, our curbs and sidewalks, and come up with a master plan and then teach us how to depreciate that correctly. And his cost is $75 per hour. He said it would probably be around $2,000 total, but if it's a lot of work, it could be more, but he sealed the cap at $5,000. And so I really need this help, and I would ask the council to please approve this agreement. He comes highly recommended from several clerk treasurers who have used him for this purpose.
Okay. Any questions concerning this agreement? Mr. Farmer?
Well, I just kind of asked Sandy, is this new or how have we done this in the past?
Well, when we got full audits, the State Board of Accounts would help us figure depreciation. For the last decade, we have not had a full audit. It's changed now to what they call examinations. And one of the things that they no longer do is depreciate the assets for us. And so we have figures where they left off, and we have figures on our books that we just can't understand where the depreciation has happened enough to make this come out correctly. So we're going to basically start with looking for all of the assets on the civil side. It's a little more clear on the utility side. They have kept up records, but like the new subdivisions that we take in, for years, there's not been additions of the water and sewer lines and the roadways to our inventories. And so this is basically going to catch us up with the requirement that they did not basically enforce in the past.
So will the depreciation help us out a lot? I mean, is it just housekeeping or will this save us money in the long term?
Well, I don't think there's any money savings to it. It's just more
housekeeping.
More appropriate reporting for our financial statement.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, other questions concerning this? Mr. Farmer, did you have a question or do you have comments on this?
I do not, except to say that I guess I would say that our staffing levels doesn't allow us to put the time and effort into this, and maybe even the expertise. So as Sandy said, she really needs this to happen, and it makes us be able to give more informational and appropriate data to the state.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. All right, any other questions? Is there a motion from council concerning this?
I move we approve the agreement between the town of Ellettsville and Larry Tippin for accounting consultation services, fixed asset depreciation.
Second.
Motion second. Sandy, please.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Next is privilege of the floor. Anyone having comments for the council about an item that is not part of our normal agenda? If you just use the raise your hand function, please. Okay, Russ?
Good evening. 2037 will be the 300th anniversary of the founding of our town. The way things are going, people will not be able to tell where Ellettsville exists or is because we'll be one big megalopolis of development with Bloomington. Also, we are continuing to increase our population density and our traffic, creating drainage issues. I'm concerned that 2037, we will be talking in the past tense about what we are trying to develop, trying to protect today because of drainage, population density, and traffic.
Okay. Anyone else with a comment? Amber, can you help me out? Because I can't see everyone.
I don't see any others.
Okay. Seeing no one, will move to supervisor comments.
I'm good.
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I just thank Darla for her work on the Eastern Richland thing. She did an exceptional job getting this to this point, and I just wanted to extend my appreciation for the work she did. That's all.
And we concur with that, most certainly. Other supervisors? Mr. Farman. Oh, sorry, Kip. Just Kip.
I was just going to make everybody, just let everybody know that this is probably the third or fourth year now that we've implemented doing this. You probably start seeing some black squiggly lines on the road. We've been implementing crack sealing on our streets in town now, and it's going to, I think we're going to see a big difference in of how long our streets will last after getting these community crossing grants. Hopefully we can get them to last longer. So I just want to let everybody know we've started doing that this week.
All right, thank you. So please use caution, folks, around the people in the streets. Okay, Mr. Farmer, now to you. And I think Mike's stuck.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention my appreciation for Darla's. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Jeff said about Darla's efforts with the Richland Sewer Corporation. It's a big day when their board and our board meet in the middle and compromise and basically bury the hatchet, hopefully for all times. Joe Peden, ever since he's become president of Eastern Richland Sewer Corporation, things have just turned a corner on a positive note. So I thank him as well. Envision Ellettsville. Dan Murray brought it up tonight. In light of some of the comments and concerns that were made tonight about traffic and stormwater and growth, the town's going to grow no matter what happens. It's just inevitable that it does. We have something a lot of people want. We need to be careful about how we grow, but we're going to grow. So we can just let it grow on its own and hope for the best, or we can become involved citizens and go to these Envision Ellettsville meetings and tell people what they're concerned about. We need to tell, everyone needs to voice their opinions on what they want the town to grow into. And so Now's the time to get involved with that. It should be very interesting. I think we have a real good consultant group that's going to lead us through this and actually give us something that will support our comprehensive plan that we already have in place. This is sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, which is a group of people that are not only successful business people, but they're also community leaders, and their mothers, fathers, they have kids here. They have a stake in this town. And so they would like for everyone to join in and help, because it's really tough to figure out what to do with a growing town like Ellettsville. I mean, you can look up north around Indianapolis, and there's been some really good communities grow out of the success of Indianapolis. And I think maybe we're not as big as that, but the same kind of process is going to take place in the next 5 or 10 years. And take it from me, 5 and 10 years comes pretty fast. So I really encourage everybody to come to Envision Ellettsville. It's only for a couple hours. And I'm interested in what everybody has to say about how we make our town have gravity, and everybody wants to live here, but for the right reasons. So the right reasons is what everybody decides as a group. So anyway, that's all I could say.
Okay, thank you. Hang on 1 second. Go back to Dan Ray for a quick comment on Envision.
Yes, I just want to put forth that it's not only the Greater Ellettsville Area Chamber of Commerce, but also the Main Street organization. It's a 50-50 partnership between us. And then also with the town of Ellettsville and a lot of the business concerns around town. Thank you.
Okay. Any further supervisors?
Dan, thanks for the save there. All I was going to say, Dan, thank you for that save. Main Street is into this. Thank you.
Sandy, did you have anything? I'm sorry.
No.
Moving now to council comments. Yeah. Go ahead, Trevor.
I have none, thank you.
Dan?
I'm good.
Just real quickly, I want to kind of echo some of the comments tonight from various people about Darla. She has done us a tremendous job for years and years, and not only with Eastern Richland, but with other folks. And moving on, besides that, Darla, who does the wonderful job, I also like to thank both of the farmers. They really worked through the Eastern Richland issues along with other help. And finally, just to both say thank you and to provide just a great deal of, I guess, pride in knowing the gentleman. I think a lot of Joe Peden, who brings a tremendous amount of gravitas toward the table every time he sits down. When Joe says the sky's whatever color it is, you can take that to the bank that it is. And Joe brought a tremendous amount of trust to the negotiations with Eastern that, quite frankly, was lacking over the years. But when Joe says something, Joe means something. And I deeply appreciate him coming to the table and just saying what needed to be said when it needed to be said, and cutting through a lot of the things that have occurred over the years. So to all of those involved, and this has gone on for, as Dan and I can tell you, 10, 15 years or more at this point. But to everyone involved, thank you very much for getting that done, because it means a lot to not just Ellettsville, but to the surrounding portions of Ellettsville and the entire northwest section of the county. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn unless someone else has something.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Sandy, please.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:04 p.m.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Night.